and just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes you're holding mine, baby. I'm dancing in the dark.
Hey there, PLV, and welcome back on the channel. So Perfect by Ed Sheeran is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. I get chills every time I listen to it. I mean, it's so beautiful. So beautiful that I'm honestly considering playing it walking down the aisle of my wedding. But anyway, for now, I want to put my own twist by making it a half like sleepy, lo-fi, dreamy version. Pretty much a mix between lo-fi and my own style. You heard a snippet of the final result at the intro of this video, so let me walk you through how I produced that track. So the first step was to actually listen to a bunch of famous pop song lo-fi remixes so that I could understand how they were approaching this style swap. While listening to a few, I took some notes and this is what I noticed. The BPM is obviously going to be slowed down, probably in between 80-90 BPM. They often use a phone or radio EQ on the voice or pitch it down a little bit. And regarding the drums, it's pretty much the typical soft-hitting lo-fi drums. Now I did notice that the songs were very short, probably under 2 minutes on average. And in terms of the main melodies, they were either using a bit of a variation or using a guitar instead of the vocals. And then finally, everything had much more reverb and much more Atmos and organic loops to get the nice lo-fi feelings. So once I knew the direction I was going to take with my remix, step 2 was to actually download the vocals, and I did this using a website called lalal.ai. It's pretty simple to use, just drag and drop your original song, select vocal and instrumental, and let it do its job. Once the preview is ready, listen to it and click download if you're happy with it. Over the years, they've been refining their AI model and just launched their newest one, which is designed to isolate vocals with a higher precision, and I was quite impressed. Here's the result of the vocal extraction, for example.
I found a love for me. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me.
So as you can hear, it's super clean, but now the cool thing is that they also launched another tool to go one level deeper in your vocal separation, which is called lead and back splitter. And it can come in quite handy if your original song has a lot of backing vocals, so you can get a cleaner result for your remixes. As the song I'm remixing has backing vocals, I did end up using this tool to get the backing vocals on a separate track, and this is what I got. I'll leave a link in the description for you to use that tool if you need it, but once I got my vocals, I brought them into SoundBridge and I was ready to start producing the track. So here we are in the final SoundBridge project on the DAW. Now it didn't start this way. The first thing I needed to do is to adapt the BPM to slow it down. And oh my god, I struggled. This thing happens to be in a freaking 12:8 time signature, which took me, honestly, 45 minutes to figure that out because I could not find any correct information online, and so yeah, I struggled. But I did get there at some point, and it was 9 to 5. So from 9 to 5, I actually slowed it down to 85, which gives us this for the vocals.
Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me.
So as you can see, a little bit more slow. Now I'm gonna walk you through the order as to how I produced the track, because while I was producing it, I took some notes so that I could remember. And I don't know why here I did the complete opposite as to what I usually do if you've been following me on the channel. I actually started with the drums. So if we solo what I had, I basically just started with a simple kick that hits very softly. So very soft and sleepy. And then I added a rim. To get that lo-fi snare. Then I added a little sleepy lo-fi hi-hat, very soft, on all the times or beats. So as you can see, there are samples, and you can see as well here, this is the volume bar. So you can see that I did change the volume, like basically the velocity of each hi-hat, so that it would not be super robotic and more human. And that's what it gives us. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms. That's pretty much all I had when I started the beat. But it was feeling a little bit empty, so after that I worked on the chord progression, like the piano. Obviously I didn't invent it, I just took it from the song. And for that I used a cool little website called My Chord Book, I think, this. Because let's face it, I didn't really have the time and the want to find it by myself by my ears. So this was much better. I just saw like, you know, A flat, F minor, D flat, E flat. So once I saw this, I just did the chord in the MIDI piano roll over here, and that's what it gave us. And here, honestly, nothing complex. I just did like the triads, like the basic triads, and I added a low note on the bottom. And I thought I was gonna usually add, you know, some 7th, 9th, 11th or something, do a lot of inversions. But I actually really liked how it sounded, and I didn't need to do that. I did do, I think, 1 or 2 inversions here and there, but that's it. Nothing complex here. The only thing is in the processing, I obviously put a little bit of an EQ looking like this to clean the low end and bring a little bit more brightness on the top frequencies. And I also added this lo-fi pitch dropout plugin that I got through Lander, and this is how it sounds. And this was just to get like this lo-fi piano start to the track. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass. Alright, so this was pretty much the basic of the song. And if you know me, I can't live without ambiances, you know, drones, organic loops, things like that. So that's the next thing I've done. They're all here in this little greenish color. So I added some waves, some little forest, bird ambience, some rain, vinyl crackling. And I found this little bouncing ambience atmos, which was perfectly on the right time signature, luckily. So this actually triggered an idea into my brain, is that I wanted to bring a little bit of rhythm into the melodic elements during the chorus. And this is where I came up with this little rhythm synth over here, which is a Serum preset by Make Pop Music, Austin. Now I didn't have enough drones kind of atmosphere. Right now it's more organic loops. So I created 2 pads, I think from Labs, this one. So it's the Opia Piano Pad preset, which is free on Labs. And the other one is another one from Labs, same chords obviously, but this time I chose the Opia Piano Granular for some texture and melodic elements. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath. You heard it, darling, you look hurt. So it's getting somewhere. Now I needed more, how do you say, consistence, more like blankets, more substance to this track. So I added a couple more keys and pads, which are those here. So the first one is just a basic key. And here, basically, the idea was just to introduce a bit more of mid frequencies so that I could have more, more body to the track, because it felt a bit thin. The other one, Serum again, Piano Boy, was to take care of the top frequencies of the piano. And those are the pianos for the track. And as you can see, all of them have this lo-fi pitch dropout just to bring that lo-fi, detuned element. And then the last little chords element that I added was this pad. Which is just for some noise and other frequencies. And so all the chords, pads, and synths together sounds like this. Cool, getting somewhere. Now, I don't know you, but I was hearing a open hat at this point here. Like that, so I did that one. Here. Now, in order to be able to do more of an arrangement and a structure, I knew I needed to add a little bit more drums and some kind of like percussion loops. That's usually something they do a lot in lo-fi. So I added this extra one over here. And obviously a little clean down sweep for the transitions. Over here. And then the last little drum that I added is this little hat versus rim texture element, which I added every 3 or 4, like half of beats. I don't even know how to call it here, but here and there just to bring some variations. So if you listen with the rim, kick, and hats. It brings a little bit more texture. Alright, so now we had pretty much everything. The only thing that was missing was the low-end elements, obviously, because otherwise it's very thin and doesn't really have any impact so far. So for this, I added a very acoustic, normal type of bass, which I found on Labs as well, which is free. Bass guitar, classic bass amp. I really wanted to keep some type of acoustic elements so that we can get that nice lo-fi vibe. But then, when it comes to the actual sub, for the frequencies on the very bottom of the spectrum, I chose an 808, not an 8080, which is a Serum preset. That sounds like this, because I just followed the rhythm of the kick. You probably won't hear it if you're not listening with headphones, so just so you know. And with the kick, it sounds like this. Which allows to bring more body and power to the track. Alright, now before listening to the final version of the chorus, I added one more little melodic element, which is some bells that just follow the vocal melody, really. Sounds like this. And it just follows this. Dancing in the dark, with you between my arms. Which then gives us this. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark. and just end it like this. Cool, okay. Now, a few more things. So this was just the chorus. There was obviously a pre-chorus and a verse. Obviously, I changed the chord progression as it was changing in the song, still using the same My Chord Book reference to know which were the chords. Now, there's 2-3 little things that I added. Lo-fi doesn't have much of big transitions, effects, and things like that. So for this, I used a reverse piano chord. That sounds like this. And I put a little bit of reverb with Supermassive so that it could link nicely into the chords over here. And then I also added a little arp in the verse. This arp, I got the idea for it because I've been playing perfect at the piano, an easy beginner version for at least like 3-4 years. That's something I've learned in the past. And the left hand motion is an arp while you play the main melody with your right hand. And so I just added, like I took this left hand part. That's the version I usually play. And then it continues. So basically I just took inspiration of that left hand and put it there in the song as a little bell arp, which sounds like this. Which then gives us this, for the intro at least.
I found a love for me.
Oh yeah, I also automated the gain for the arp to slowly come up.
Follow my lead.
Because I don't want it to take away from the vocals.
I found a girl, beautiful and sweet.
And then as you can see, I just start to introduce some kind of like soft drums with a little drum loop that I found that sounds like this. And that's pretty much in terms of the elements that I added in the song. Then in terms of the structure, as you can see, you know, I added like all the elements one by one, more and more. The arp, I only have it in the verse, not in the pre-chorus. In the pre-chorus, I start to introduce a bit more keys and pads for more body and starting to build the track. And then I add everything into the chorus. In the pre-chorus, I only have the acoustic bass, not the 808. I keep the 808 for the chorus. And then same as well for the drums. I only have the rim, hi-hats, and open hat, and some type of little extra drums, extra percussions in the pre-chorus. And then I add everything with the kick in the chorus. And then the last thing I really wanted to show you is, because you probably heard that the vocals sound a little bit different, is because I treated them using the little phone EQ thing that I noticed in the reference tracks. So before it sounds like this.
Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me.
But I wanted to add this EQ over here, which is kind of like a phone radio EQ.
Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me.
Which I really like, because it's kind of like he's on the phone talking to you with all this beautiful like love letter, really. So I really like this vibe. And then just another little EQ to tame a little bit the high frequencies, because it was quite it didn't match the song. And then I added some reverb and delay. So I just have a buzz here. The reverb, I put 67% over here. My little reverb buzz is at the bottom over here. And if you want to see what I used, it was Valhalla Supermassive. the Reverb 2000, which is at 100% mix, and then I just decide how much I want to send that reverb on my vocal over here, which was 67.
Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me.
And the last thing was to use as well the delay bus, which I put at 40%. And the delay I used was from Valhalla Supermassive as well, wave delay. And it sounds like this.
I found the love for me. Darling, just dive right in. Follow my lead. Well, I found a girl. Beautiful and sweet. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark, you between my arms.
So beautiful. I mean, it is a great song either way, so I'm super happy how it turned out. I know it's not extremely lo-fi, but I really wanted to keep my own style into it, so that's why I made a mix of both. I hope it was helpful and maybe inspired you to make your own style swap. It's honestly a great exercise for production, so don't hesitate to do it. As I mentioned before, I will leave a link in the description if you want to try La 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 to extract your vocals, but in the meantime, keep running, keep producing, and I'll see you in the next one. Or this one, where I make a remake of Firestone by Kygo completely from scratch.